All right. I want to talk about something I see multiple times every week in the men's community, different communities I'm part of, and it is one of the greatest lies women tell. And we've got a handful of those that we talk about, but men also tell this same lie. He's just a friend. Yeah. How many of you know somebody who had an affair with someone who is just a friend? Think about this, guys. How many of you maintain a close relationship with a woman that you don't have desire to sleep with? That you haven't been friend zoned with and there's a little something there. It's one of the reasons I say men don't need female friends. When I met Melanie, I explained to her I have two female friends. And one of those friendships is with a crazy 75-year-old woman who lives across the country. So, again, don't have a lot of female friends. Men don't need a lot of female friends. And if you're in an exclusive relationship with a woman, should she be hanging out at another guy's house? Don't be the nice guy and go, oh, but I trust her. She would never. Look, I didn't think my first wife would ever have an affair. Okay? And then a friend of mine said, what about, and he named my business partner in real estate. And I'm like, no. He's 10 or 12 years older, blah, blah, blah. And he was a coworker. The number one source of affairs are coworkers and then friends. Now, I didn't even know what an emotional affair was back then, but my wife, in fact, back then, my ex-wife, had an emotional affair with my business partner in real estate. I saw the text logs and the phone call logs, and it was a blind man could have figured that out. I was too blind at the time. Now, they didn't. I don't think they had a physical relationship till after either I moved out or the divorce, because there was a weekend that they went to his brother's wedding. I was out of town with the kids, and there was a 4-hour high school like phone call in the middle of the night after the wedding, from like 11 to 3 type crap. Okay. So when she's saying he's just a friend, or he understands me, or he gets me, how many of these women have you known or had in your life in the past, and how many of them did you have zero desire to be intimate with? Yeah, that's what I thought. Because I've had, 2 female friends. There's not another female that has been in my orbit that, and again, this isn't couples friends. This is different. I'm talking single male friends. I had couples that were friends, but I never hung out with anybody's wife by myself, nor would I. Now, that's different than if you run into them, because, it's a regular, normal friendship. So, again, this morning, literally second time this week, somebody was, oh, turns out my wife is having an affair with the just a friend guy. So it's something to talk about in the relationship, boundaries about being alone with members of the opposite sex. Everyone made fun of Mike Pence because he wouldn't have lunch with a female alone. And they all made fun of him. But guess what can't happen if you don't have lunch alone with a friend? False accusations can't be made, okay? I used to call it the Frank Gifford rule. If you don't go up to the hotel room with a flight attendant, you can't sleep with the flight attendant. You know what? I'm not going to go to a single woman's home because why would I ever go to a single woman's home? To hang out or to, it's just one of those things. We have a dear friend who was doing some alterations on some clothing. I wouldn't have gone alone to that. Melanie went with me, But it's just one of those things, guys. It is a reasonable boundary. And if they say you're being insecure or controlling, consider that red flags. So something to think about, that just a friend is just a friend for now. And there's nothing wrong with having good boundaries, strong boundaries regarding hanging out with members of the opposite sex. I don't think that's unreasonable. If you are struggling in your relationship, the thing is, you've got to be the one to lead the change, man. You got to work on yourself, for yourself, level up. She will either follow or not. My contact information is down below. If you want to have a conversation, just fill out the form. Let's talk. There's no charge. And see what might be the best path for you. All right? Have a great day.